The late 70s and early 80s changed black music forever. Disco was fading, funk was evolving, and a new generation of artists was blending groove, soul, R&B, and futuristic energy into something entirely different. At the center of that movement stood a legendary record label, Motown. But while focused on superstars, one band quietly created some of the smoothest, funkiest music of the era. A group whose sound blended sophisticated musicianship and undeniable groove. A band respected by musicians, loved by funk fans, and yet somehow overlooked by mainstream history. This is the story of a Motown funk group that helped define an era and left behind a musical legacy far greater than most people realize. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Ozone. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more uploads. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. By the late 70s, funk music was transforming. Artists like George Clinton and Parliament-Funkadelic had already expanded funk into a larger-than-life cultural movement. At the same time, R&B groups was beginning to experiment with more smoother production, tighter arrangements, and electronic sounds. And inside the music industry, labels were searching for the next generation of funk stars. That's where Ozone entered the picture. The group originated from Nashville, Tennessee, under the name The Endeavors. The group broke up in 1977 and three of its members, Benny Wallace, Jimmy Stewart, and Charles Glenn, the trio formed a new group and they called it Ozone. The trio later recruited trumpeter Thomas Bumpus, saxophonist and vocalist William Billy White, and Ray Woodward, guitarist Greg Hargrove, and drummer Paul Hines. The group emerged during the period when musicianship still deeply mattered. Bands played real instruments, live arrangements mattered, and stage performance could make or break a career. Ozone quickly gained attention because it combined technical skill with commercial appeal. Their music felt polished, but still deeply funky. During the group's first 2 years, Ozone performed as backup singers for Billy Preston and Sarita. This relationship led to them receiving a deal on their own in 1979. The group signed to Motown. Now signing to Motown was both an opportunity and a challenge. By the late 70s, Motown was evolving beyond its classic 1960s sound. The label was adapting to changing musical trends, and Ozone fit perfectly into that transitional period. The band became known for its sophisticated grooves, layered harmonies, and smooth productions that reflected the changing sound of black music entering the 80s. But unlike many one-dimensional funk acts, Ozone balanced multiple styles at once. Their versatility helped separate them from many other groups of that era. Yet, it also made them so difficult to market in an industry obsessed with simple categories. They released their debut album Walk On in 1980. This album was mostly an instrumental funk and jazz funk album. Over the next 2 years, they released 3 full-length albums on Motown, with Jump On It, which failed to chart, followed by Little Susie, that peaked number 45 on the R&B charts and 152 on the Billboard Top 200 chart, and Send It, that peaked number 61 on the R&B charts. Their final album to be released was Glasses. As Ozone began releasing music, funk fans immediately recognized the quality of their sound. The grooves was tight, and their bass lines, it was contagious. Their arrangements carried the polished sophistication Motown was famous for. Songs like Struck My Thing, which peaked number 73 on the R&B charts, Mighty Mighty, Jigolette, that peaked number 55 on the R&B charts. And Our Hearts. These songs helped establish Ozone's identity. Their records blended dance floor energy with smooth musicianship in ways that captured the spirit of the early 80s. But what truly made Ozone stand out was their musicianship. This wasn't a manufactured studio act. There was real musicians, real performers, and artists who understood rhythm, harmony, and groove at the highest level. And that musical foundation gave their records lasting replay value decades later. Even today, funk collectors and crate diggers continue rediscovering Ozone's catalog because authentic funk truly never disappears. Although Ozone served as backup musicians to Billy Preston and Sarita, they are best remembered for their work with Tina Marie. They appeared on several tracks on her album Lady T in 1980. They was also featured on the song Chains for her album Irons in the Fire that same year. The majority of her songs, horn arrangements, was handled by Ozone. Marie returned the favor by composing and performing with Ozone on several of their albums. She appeared on half of the tracks on the album Send It in 1981. Ozone also aided Bobby Nunn on his 1982 single She Just a Groupie and his 1983 album Private Party. Like many great funk groups, Ozone earned deep respect from musicians and hardcore fans, but they fully never received mainstream recognition that their talent deserved. But still, their music continued to find new audience, especially listeners who appreciated authentic musicianship and real funk grooves. One reason Ozone still holds a respected place among funk lovers is because of the musicians themselves. The band wasn't built around gimmicks, it was built around skill, strong rhythm sections, tight harmonies, sophisticated arrangements, and live performance chemistry. During the time when music was becoming increasingly synthetic, Ozone carried the feel of a real band, and that authenticity helped their music age gracefully. Their sound reflected the bridge of classic 70s funk and the smoother R&B styles that would later dominate decades later. In many ways, Ozone represented a transitional chapter in Black music history. One foot rooted in live funk tradition and the other stepped into modern sounds of the 80s. Although Ozone may not always appear in mainstream conversations about funk history, their influence quietly survived. Collectors treasured their albums, DJs continued spinning their records, and younger musicians studied the groove and arrangements hidden inside their catalog. Because real music leaves fingerprints across generations. You can hear echoes in Ozone's sound in modern funk revival bands, in R&B productions, and even in hip-hop sampling culture. Their records became part of a deep musical DNA of Black American music and for longtime funk fans. Ozone never disappeared. They simply became one of the genre's best-kept secrets. In 2018, Ozone reunited with Charles Glenn, Rodney Trotter, Derek Organ, Ewan Williams, Rodney and Patricia Thomas, and Deli Vance. Today, music fans often rediscover artists through streaming, samples, documentaries, and internet culture. Slowly, groups like Ozone are finally receiving their renewed appreciation because audiences are searching for something many modern records struggle to provide, which is authenticity, musicianship, and soul. Ozone represented an era when bands still played together. Their grooves came from human chemistry, and when funk music carried both sophistication and emotional depth. Their catalog reminds listeners that some of the greatest artists in history was never the loudest names. Sometimes the most important music exists just beneath the surface, waiting to be rediscovered. The history of funk music is filled with legends, but some stories was never told loudly enough. Ozone helped shape the sound of an important era in black music. Although mainstream may have passed them by, their grooves survive, their music survived, and their legacy continues every time someone drops the needle on an old Ozone record and hears real funk come alive again. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song by Ozone? Before I go, I want to take a second to promote my Discord. Over here, I provide a safe space for my supporters. We discuss music of all genres. You can provide me feedback on recent uploads, etc. If that interests you, then go ahead and check me out. The link is in my bio. While I have y'all here, if you would like to support the channel further, then feel free to become a member. By doing so, you help make these videos possible. I thank each and every one of you who supported me along this journey.